Let's talk about pre-written adventures! I don't like them. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's talk about this. I don't dislike written adventures. I think they're phenomenal. I think they're well written. I think they're great for certain groups and certain GMs. That GM, I don't think that's me. Using them for encounters and dungeons and stuff, phenomenal. Dungeon crawling, like in the Abomination Vaults adventure path, incredible, tons of fun, I'm loving it. Even though I've only played 2 sessions, I'm still enjoying it. But I'm on my 4th session of Extinction Curse, and I abandoned it after the first session. So let me explain myself. We played through the first session, and then I followed it a bit in the second session of Extinction Curse. I'm not going to go into any details so I don't spoil it for anybody, but I didn't like where it was going. I didn't like having the story pre-written, and this is not a slight against Paizo. This is simply a problem with pre-written material in general. With a pre-written adventure, especially from a player's point of view at least, there is a linear path. Sure, you can snake and go from point to point, but no matter what, you're going to get funneled through the adventure path if you're following it as written. Of course, the GM has the right to change anything, make anything different, but once you change enough, the rest of the adventure path isn't going to be of any use to you. I can already say right now that in my personal Extinction Curse game, we're so off track that I'll probably buy the other books just for inspiration, but there would be no point to me actually using the rest of these books because nothing makes sense with the way I've pointed it and the way my players have gone. Again, this is nothing against Paizo, I just prefer an open-ended experience. I love being able to tell my players, you can go and do anything you want. Here's a bunch of plot hooks. Follow any of them or none of them. Make your own choice. Forge your own path. Your character has their goals, their motivations, their relationships with other people. So decide, as a group, where are you going? Why are you going there? And as a GM, I'm not going to leave you in the ocean. I'm not going to give you nothing. Like I said, I'll give plot hook after plot hook. And if my players latch onto a specific one, I'll start fleshing that out. The problem with an adventure path is that you dangle one major plot hook and then a couple minor plot hooks that are secretly just attached to the major plot hook. And I think there's some, what's the word I'm looking for? Suspension of disbelief involved. You know, as a player going into a pre-written adventure, I think you accept, yeah, there's a main path here. It's why something like an RPG, like Final Fantasy, Dark Souls, whatever, even though you are funneled down an effectively straight path, the story is still enjoyable. You know, you're along for the ride, and it still feels like you're making the story happen, which is true. But in a TTRPG, personally, and I believe my players feel the same way, we like that open-ended feeling. Like, yeah, the story is there, but technically the story is anywhere you want to go. Wherever you, the party, want to go, there will be a story there. Now, obviously there's the GM trick of just, oh, take this dungeon from there and put it where they're going. But that doesn't always work, and personally, I love the idea that if they choose to abandon a story to go somewhere else, that story doesn't stop. That story doesn't wait for them. If there was a secret cult about to overthrow the city and they leave and go somewhere else, well, guess what? A month later, that city has been razed to the ground. Maybe the news reaches the players, and while they're in the middle of doing whatever it is they're doing in this new area, they look at each other and go, oh, we could have stopped that. It adds repercussions, it adds weight, and even though it's a negative experience thinking, wow, we royally screwed up, it makes every decision the players have feel important. The problem with a lot of pre-written adventures, and this is not just Paizo, this is Wizards, this is third-party stuff, it's the nature of a pre-written adventure. I still want to play Malevolence really bad. The problem is that you have to follow that line, you know? It'd be like, if the party in the first session of Extinction Curse decided, nah, let's not be a circus anymore, well, the first 2 or 3 books, maybe more, of Extinction Curse are kind of moot now, and there's not a whole lot to do Unless you have two choices. You can throw all the books away and run a completely open-ended adventure, which is sort of what we're doing, or you can awkwardly shove your players back on the right path, whether that be by putting the plot in front of them at every turn, talking to them, being like, hey guys, I know you don't really want to be in the circus, but why did you vote to play Extinction Curse if you didn't want to be in the circus? So I think when you agree to play through a specific adventure path, there is an unspoken contract, of the players being like, yeah, we collectively as a group of people want to play through Extinction Curse because running a circus sounds cool. There should never be a reality where, unfortunately this is going to happen to a lot of people, the GM is like, guys, look, we're playing through Extinction Curse right now, and all these cool characters you made, they're clowns now. And everyone's looking at each other. And the animal instinct barbarian is like, there's no dancing bear, is there? But yeah, 9 times out of 10, if everyone agrees to play through it, they will follow the story because as players, they want to follow the story. And they'll probably make characters where following the story makes sense. I feel like I say this almost every video, but it really depends on your group. And I'm so curious to see why people enjoy following a funneled story. It's not that I don't understand why, I would just love to hear from other people. I can imagine that you just want to see the story they've told and you want to explore it with your custom character, which is super cool. But to me, it still feels so limiting to be like, all right, so the Lich is destroying the world, and we're level 2, so technically we should be following the story so we can get strong enough to go punch the Lich in the face and say bad. But what if we just want to go to the beach and go shopping and then maybe adopt a goblin? How about that? Speaking from a GM point specifically, running an AP feels very, very limiting. I feel restricted and not in a good way. When something happens that I don't expect in an open-ended campaign, my brain is on top of it. I can improv, I can throw something in there because I don't have a fear of screwing up the ending. If a specific NPC is actually a traitor in disguise or like a devil in disguise or something like that, but I, the GM, don't know it because I've only read the first book and not all 6, I don't want to screw something up in a later book because of something I changed. There's a stress to it that I don't enjoy. That if I say something wrong or describe something wrong, the players might miss a vital piece of evidence that is important later on in this pre-written adventure. Whereas if I'm making it up as I go, session to session, I'm showing up to each session prepared with enough material. I usually prepare about 2 sessions ahead of time. I can't really misspeak, because even if I misspeak, that's just the lore now. If I accidentally say something that outs one of my NPCs as a traitor, then my party just knows that now, and even if they kill them, take them in or something, I didn't necessarily have anything crazy planned with them later on, Maybe I had tried to plan something 50 sessions down the line for some big crazy reveal, but I don't feel like I screwed up somebody else's writing. I think that's what it is. I don't feel bad if I screw up my writing because I can change it so easily. But a part of me, when running something pre-written, wants to honor the writers and the work they put into it and everything they designed specifically for that adventure. And that puts stress on my shoulders that I don't really enjoy as a GM. Plus, I like having the ability, and I keep saying the ability, you always have the ability to change things. It just feels weird to change something pre-written to a certain degree. But I like the ability to change things on the fly, change the story, change the main plot, let the players go wherever they want rather than being funneled down a single path to a single, somewhat predetermined ending. Maybe there's a couple different endings depending on how things go. I don't know. This is just my personal mental thought process. I'd be curious to hear about you guys. What do you think of pre-written adventure paths? I've heard some really, really good stories from people who play through them, and I will say that every time someone plays through an adventure path, it always sounds like a completely different experience, which is fantastic. I love to hear that, but I do want to hear from the GMs out there. How do you feel when running a pre-written adventure versus running your own content? And also on that note, how do you feel about running something you've pre-written versus writing something that is developed as you go? I really want to hear from you guys, even the players. Let me know as a player, do you prefer running a pre-written adventure or something of the GM's creation? I love hearing from you guys in the comments. I spend literal hours reading them. I wish I could respond to more, but I never have time to respond to them because I'm spending so long just reading them, and I love it. I love you guys so much for commenting and interacting with me so freaking much. It means the world to me. So with that being said, I would like to thank my patrons scrolling up the side of the screen. If you would also like to help me out financially, there is a link in the description to the No Nat One's Patreon page. Any pledge of $10 or more does get access to all of my unique Pathfinder 2e homebrew, as well as long as you stay pledged, access to every piece of homebrew that comes out at least monthly. If you feel like it, leave a like on the video if this helped you out or you just enjoyed it at all, and subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2e content, or just tabletop role-playing game content like this. None of this was specifically 2e, I just have a script, and I forget that I stick to it until I've already said it. But that's it for me. Thanks for commenting, guys. Thanks for spending your time here with me. I really appreciate it. Times have been tough, but they're getting better, and you guys help with that every single day. So, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, No Nat Ones.